Hey there, I'm Linda. Before I dive into this crazy story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, you won't want to miss this wild ride. I'm a 35-year-old single mom working my butt off as a nurse while raising my sweet little girl, Harper. We live in a quiet suburb that looks like something out of a Hallmark movie, but trust me, appearances can be deceiving. Harper, sweetie, have you seen my scrubs? I called out as I rummaged through a pile of laundry. They're in the dryer, Mommy. Harper shouted back from her room, probably lost in another coloring book. I swear, this kid has a better memory than I do. Must be nice not having to juggle a million things at once. I've got this sister, Emma, who's been my rock ever since Harper's dad decided fatherhood wasn't his style and bailed. Emma's always there to help out when my shifts run late. Hey sis, any chance you can watch Harper tonight? Got stuck with a double, I asked, the phone wedged between my ear and shoulder as I folded laundry. Of course, Linda, you know I love having my little niece over, Emma replied, her voice warm. Then there's Mark, Emma's husband. At first, I thought he was a stand-up guy, always offering to help out. But lately, something's been off. I can't put my finger on it, but my nurse's intuition is tingling. Thanks for dinner, Mark. You really didn't have to, I said one evening as he dropped off a casserole. No problem, Linda. What's family for, right? Mark responded with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. And don't get me started on their twins, Jake and Zoe, 6 years old and already acting like they own the world. Last time they were over, Harper's favorite doll mysteriously lost all its hair. Barbie needed a haircut, Mommy, Harper explained tearfully. I swear those kids are going to be a handful when they hit their teens. How about a barbecue this weekend? I suggested during our weekly sister catch-up call. At that park Harper loves with the big playground. Sounds perfect, Emma exclaimed. I'll bring the salads, you handle the grill. Deal, I agreed, already picturing Harper's excited face when I told her. As I hung up with Emma, Harper bounced into the room, pigtails flying. Mommy, can we go to the park tomorrow? Pretty please. I scooped her up, grinning. Even better, sweetie. We're having a big family barbecue there this weekend. Harper's eyes lit up like it was Christmas morning. Really? With Aunt Emma and Uncle Mark and everybody? You bet, I said, pushing down that nagging feeling about Mark. It was probably nothing, right? Just family being family. The day of the barbecue started off perfect, sun shining, burgers sizzling, and Harper's laughter ringing out from the swings. I was chatting with Emma, one eye always on my little girl. So how's work been? Emma asked, sipping her lemonade. Crazy as usual, but hey, that's the ER for you, I replied, flipping a burger. That's when Mark finally showed up, Jake and Zoe in tow. Those two made a beeline for the swings like they were on a mission. Uncle Mark, watch me swing high, Harper called out, all smiles. I saw Mark approach the swings, his face unreadable. Time to share, Harper, he said, his voice oddly flat. Sweet kid that she is, Harper nodded. Okay, just one more minute, please. What happened next still plays in slow motion in my mind. Mark's hand shot out, shoving Harper hard. She flew off the swing, hit the ground with a sickening thud, and let out a scream that made my blood run cold. Harper, I shouted, sprinting over. My baby was curled up, clutching her arm, tears streaming down her face. I rounded on Mark, fury bubbling up. What the hell, Mark? He held up his hands, all innocence. Whoa, calm down, Linda. She must have let go by accident. I saw you push her, I spat, cradling Harper. Emma rushed over, looking torn. Mark, what happened? It was an accident, he insisted, but his eyes were shifty. Meanwhile, Jake and Zoe had already claimed the swings, laughing like nothing had happened. My arm hurts, Mommy, Harper whimpered, and my heart shattered. We're going to the hospital, I announced, scooping her up. Emma touched my arm. Linda, I'm sure Mark didn't mean. I jerked away. Not now, Emma. I need to take care of my daughter. As I carried Harper to the car, I heard Mark behind me. Come on, it's not that bad. Kids fall all the time. I whirled around, Harper still in my arms. Stay the hell away from us, Mark. I mean it. The drive to the ER was a blur of Harper's soft cries and my own racing thoughts. How could Mark do this? How could he hurt my baby girl? In the waiting room, Harper curled up in my lap, sniffling. Why did Uncle Mark push me, Mommy? I stroked her hair, fighting back tears. I don't know, baby, but I promise he won't ever hurt you again. My phone buzzed with texts from Emma. Linda, please call me. Mark says it was an accident. Are you guys okay? I ignored them all. Right now, Harper was all that mattered. A nurse called us in, and I recognized her for my shifts. Linda, what happened? I took a deep breath, steadying myself. My brother-in-law pushed her off a swing. The nurse's eyes widened, and she shot me a look that said, "We'll talk later." As they examined Harper's arm, took x-rays, and eventually put on a cast, my mind was racing. How had I missed this side of Mark? What else had he done that I didn't know about? One thing was crystal clear. I couldn't trust him anymore. And Emma? Well, she'd have to choose her husband or her family. Walking out of the ER, Harper's good arm around my neck, I made a silent vow. No one, and I mean no one, would ever hurt my baby again. Mark had no idea what he just started. But he was about to find out. Mama Bear was awake, and she was out for blood. The weeks after the swing incident were a blur of anger and sleepless nights. I couldn't shake the image of Mark pushing Harper, couldn't unhear her cry of pain. It was like a switch had flipped in my brain, and suddenly, I was seeing Mark in a whole new light. It started when I overheard Harper talking to her cousin on the phone. Yeah, Uncle Mark is mean sometimes. He yelled at me for touching his stuff once, and he always makes me give Jake and Zoe my toys. My blood ran cold. How long had this been going on? The next day at the playground, I casually brought up Mark to some of the other parents. Oh, that guy. Yeah, he's got a temper, one mom said, lowering her voice. Saw him screaming at some kids for playing too close to his car once. Another dad chimed in. He threatened to sue me when our kids got into a scuffle over a freaking juice box. Can you believe it? The more I dug, the worse it got. Mark had a reputation all right, and it wasn't pretty, bullying kids, intimidating parents. He was like a ticking time bomb in khakis and a polo shirt. Then I found out about his job. I ran into his old coworker at the grocery store. Mark? Oh yeah, he got fired for throwing a stapler at the intern. Nasty business. Didn't he tell you? No, he sure as hell didn't, and neither did Emma. Speaking of Emma, she showed up at my door one night looking like she hadn't slept in days. Linda, I don't know what to do, she sobbed. Mark's been different, angry all the time, lying about where he's been. I found receipts for jewelry I've never seen. I think he might be cheating. I held her as she cried, my mind racing. This was bigger than I thought. That's when I decided to go full detective mode. I installed a nanny cam in Harper's room, disguised as a teddy bear. Call me paranoid, but I had to know what was happening when I wasn't around. The next family dinner, I left it running. What I saw when I played back the footage made me want to puke. Mark sneaking into Harper's room while everyone was downstairs. He went straight for her piggy bank, pocketing a handful of bills. My 7-year-old's hard-earned allowance stolen by a grown-ass man. That son of a... I muttered, watching the video for the third time. It was clear now, the swing wasn't an isolated incident. Mark was a wolf in sheep's clothing, and he'd been fooling us all for years. I paced my living room, mind whirling. This wasn't just about protecting Harper anymore. Jake and Zoe were in danger too, not to mention Emma. Hell, the whole neighborhood needed to know what kind of monster was living among us. But Mark was smart, careful. He'd deny everything, maybe even try to turn it all back on me. I needed proof, something so damning he couldn't wiggle his way out of it. That's when it hit me, the family reunion next month. Everyone would be there, the perfect stage for Mark's grand unmasking. I grabbed my phone, fingers flying over the keys as I started making plans. Hidden cameras, strategic conversations, maybe even a few planted situations to trigger Mark's temper. You messed with the wrong mama bear, Mark, I muttered, a grim smile spreading across my face. It was time to show everyone who he really was. As I worked late into the night, plotting Mark's downfall, one thought kept me going. No one hurts my family and gets away with it. No one. The day of the family reunion arrived, and let me tell you, I was wound tighter than a clock spring. Weeks of planning were all coming down to this. I'd set up hidden cameras all over the park, disguised as everything from birdhouses to fake rocks. The playground was wired like a reality TV set. I'd invited every parent and kid who'd ever had a run-in with Mark, promising them the chance to see justice served. They were scattered around, playing their parts perfectly. Emma arrived with Mark and the twins, looking stressed. I gave her a reassuring nod. She knew something was up, but not the details. Plausible deniability and all that. Great turnout, Linda, Mark said, eyeing the crowd. Didn't realize we had such a big family. Oh, you'd be surprised who's considered family these days, I replied, sweet as poison. The trap was set, now to spring it. First, I had little Timmy, whose bike Mark had once run over, accidentally spilled juice on Mark's shoes. You little brat, Mark snarled, grabbing Timmy's arm. Do you know how much these cost? I saw phones coming out, people pretending to take selfies while actually recording. Next came Mrs. Johnson, whose dog Mark had threatened to have put down for barking. She let her poodle off the leash, and it made a beeline for Mark's leg. Get this mutt away from me, Mark yelled, trying to kick the dog. More phones, more candid shots. The final straw was when I had Jake and Zoe's classmate Billy start a water gun fight near Mark's precious car. Mark lost it. He charged at the kids, face red with rage. I'll sue every last one of you little shits if there's so much as a water spot on my car. That's when I made my move. I hit send on my phone, and suddenly, everyone's devices lit up with a live stream from the hidden cameras. Every nasty word, every aggressive move played out in high definition. Emma gasped, staring at her screen in horror. Mark, what is this? Mark spun around, realizing too late he was surrounded. His eyes landed on me, and I saw the moment he knew he was screwed. You set me up, he growled, advancing toward me. I stood my ground. No, Mark. You did this all yourself. I just made sure everyone could see the real you. Emma stepped between us, tears in her eyes. Is this true? All of it? The bullying, the lies, stealing from Harper. Mark's face twisted. They're all exaggerating. You're going to believe them over your own husband. But the evidence was right there, undeniable. Parents started chiming in with their own stories, kids pointing and whispering. Mark, cornered, did what any bully does when exposed. He lashed out. He lunged at me, but in his rage, he misjudged. His foot caught on a raised bit of playground safety mat, and suddenly he was airborne. Time seemed to slow as Mark flailed, tumbling off the edge of the play structure. There was a sickening crunch as he landed, followed by a howl of pain. My arm. I think it's broken, Mark wailed, clutching his limb. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Same park, same injury he'd caused Harper. Karma's a bitch, isn't it? As we waited for the ambulance, Emma knelt beside me, her face a mix of grief and resolve. I'm so sorry, Linda. I should have seen it sooner. I squeezed her hand. We both should have. But it's over now. Harper tugged at my sleeve, her eyes wide. Is Uncle Mark going away, Mommy? I scooped her up, holding her close. Yeah, baby, he's going away for a long time. Looking around at the community united against Mark's bullying, at Emma's tear-stained but determined face, at Harper safe in my arms, I felt a weight lift. It was over. We were safe. As the ambulance pulled away, Mark's curses fading into the distance, I turned to the gathered crowd. So who's up for some barbecue? I'd say we've got a lot to celebrate. The story's over, folks. Now I've got a question for you. If you were Emma, would you have stood by Mark after seeing his true colors? Or would you have sided with your sister, Linda, immediately? Think about family loyalty versus doing what's right. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hi, I'm Amanda. Back in 2017, I married the love of my life, John, a wonderful man from a family with a long history of sons. Our wedding was like a scene from a fairy tale, with everyone celebrating our union under the soft glow of sunset. It felt perfect, and for a while, everything was. In the first few years, John and I lived in bliss, our happiness only growing when I discovered I was pregnant. We're going to have a baby, John. I remember telling him, and the sparkle in his eyes as he lifted me into a joyful embrace is something I'll never forget. I hope it's a girl, he whispered, someone as beautiful and kind as her mother. The joy of our growing family was slightly overshadowed by John's mother, Linda. At first, her constant presence and advice seemed like enthusiasm, albeit overwhelming. But things changed when we revealed our baby's gender, a girl. A girl, huh? Linda mused during one family dinner. Are you sure, Amanda? John comes from a long line of boys. It's unusual, isn't it? I tried to laugh it off, replying, I guess we're just breaking tradition this time. As my pregnancy progressed, so did Linda's intrusions. She began showing up unannounced, filling our home with unwelcome comments and old wives' tales about ensuring the next baby would be a boy. It's important to keep a family lineage, Amanda. Maybe you should consult a specialist for the next one, she'd say, her words tinged with irritation. Despite this, I kept my cool. We're just happy to have a healthy baby, Linda, I'd reply. But when we revealed that our second child was also going to be a girl, Linda's demeanor changed from subtly intrusive to openly hostile. Another girl? This can't be right. Are you sure John is the father? Her sharp tone and scrutinizing gaze made my heart pound with anger and disbelief. Linda, that's a horrible thing to say, I exclaimed, but before I could say more, John stepped in, his voice firm. Mom, you're out of line. Amanda is my wife, and I trust her completely. But John, Linda persisted, her tone accusatory. You know the importance of having a boy. Are you sure she's being faithful? Seeing the hurt in John's eyes, I realized this wasn't just about tradition. It was about trust, respect, and family. A family that Linda seemed determined to tear apart with her baseless accusations. The breaking point came during a routine visit when I was 8 months pregnant with our second daughter. Linda's attitude had been frosty since our announcement, but I never imagined it would escalate to physical violence. Why do you insist on shaming our family, Amanda? Why can't you give John a son? Her voice was cold, her eyes filled with something dark and angry. Linda, I'm not giving anyone anything. These are our children, and they are perfect, I said, my voice steady despite the fear rising within me. Suddenly, Linda lashed out, slapping me across the face. The shock of the impact left me reeling, and before I could process what had happened, she kicked me, sending a sharp pain through my belly. John, I cried out, and in an instant he was by my side, shielding me from his mother. Get out, Mom. Now. John's voice thundered through the room as Linda stormed out. The room spun around me as the reality of her actions sank in. She was willing to harm me, to harm her own grandchild. But in that moment, John's unwavering support was my anchor. We knew things had to change. We had to protect our family, no matter what. And that was just the beginning. After John ushered his mother out, the door slammed shut with a finality that echoed through our once peaceful home. We were alone, the silence heavy between us. Are you okay? Did she hurt you or the baby? John asked, his voice trembling with concern. I touched my belly, still in shock, and nursed my cheek with my other hand. I think we're okay. We can't let this go, Amanda. I never thought she'd go this far, he said, guilt etched into his features. I reached for his hand, squeezing it tightly. It's not your fault, John. We couldn't have known she'd do something like this. John began pacing, running his hands through his hair. I'm calling the police. She can't just attack you and think it's okay because she's family. The decision felt heavy, like crossing an invisible line that would forever change the dynamics of our family. But as John dialed the number, his resolve was clear. Protecting our family was his top priority. Hello, yes, I need to report an assault. It's my mother. She attacked my pregnant wife, he said to the dispatcher. As he spoke, my thoughts raced. How had it come to this? Family gatherings that once felt like celebrations now loomed like threats. After hanging up, John sat beside me, his face pale. They're sending someone to take your statement. We're going to make sure she answers for this. The doorbell rang sooner than expected. 2 officers stood at our doorstep, their expressions a mix of professionalism and concern. Mrs. Amanda, can you tell us what happened? One of the officers asked, taking notes as I recounted the incident, his brow furrowed with each detail. And you're sure you want to press charges? He asked, the question heavy with implication. Without hesitation, I nodded. Yes. It's not just about me, it's about our children's safety. The officers assured us they would handle everything and advised us to seek a restraining order. After they left, the reality of our situation sank in. We need to think about moving, John suggested. Somewhere she doesn't know, where we can start fresh. I considered his words. Maybe you're right, but let's focus on getting through this first, for our daughters. That night, as we lay in bed, the events of the day replayed in my mind. The fear, the betrayal, but most of all, John's unwavering support. It reinforced something vital. Our commitment to each other and our family. In the days that followed, we consulted with a lawyer, strengthening our case against Linda. The community's reaction was mixed. Some whispered about family disputes gone too far, while others offered quiet support. Through it all, John and I held on to each other, our bond stronger than ever. We knew we would overcome this, not just survive it. But through it all, we emerged stronger, a united front against any storm. As the court date approached, our resolve only hardened, ready to close this painful chapter and protect the peaceful future we envisioned for our family. Are we doing the right thing, Amanda? John's voice was fraught with worry, pressing charges against my own mother. She hurt us, John, and she could have hurt our girls, I replied, the weight of the situation pressing on me. We need to protect our family. But the backlash, what if people don't understand? They'll think we're tearing the family apart, he said, his concern evident. I reached for his hand, squeezing it gently. Some might, but we know the truth. We're not tearing anything apart. We're holding our family together. As your attorney, I'll need every detail about what happened, Mr. Thompson said as he opened his notepad. The more specific, the better for building a strong case. We recounted everything from Linda's initial subtle shifts in behavior to her violent outburst. Mr. Thompson listened intently, his pen never stopping. This is a serious case of domestic assault, he finally said. Given that Amanda is pregnant, the charges are even more severe. What about the community? This is going to become public, I asked, a knot of anxiety tightening in my stomach. People will talk, yes, Mr. Thompson replied, but your primary concern should be your safety and legal protection. In the weeks that followed, the reality of our situation sank in. Word of the incident spread through our small town, and reactions were mixed. While some neighbors offered sympathetic smiles and understanding nods, others whispered behind closed doors, their gazes judgmental. One afternoon, while picking up groceries, I overheard a couple whispering. Can you believe she pressed charges against her own mother-in-law over a family argument? One person said. It's not just an argument, she was attacked. Another voice defended me. Feeling a surge of emotions, I hurried out of the store, the bags heavy in my hands. At home, John and I discussed our next steps. Maybe moving isn't such a bad idea, he mused. A new start could be good for us. But this is our home, John. Should we really have to leave because of what she did? I asked, conflicted. We'll make that decision together, he'd assured me, pulling me into a hug. Whatever we decide, we'll do it as a family. As the court date drew closer, the strain was palpable. We attended counseling to deal with the stress and fear, each session slowly stitching back the fabric of our family's peace. We're doing the right thing, I whispered to John one night as we lay quietly in bed. For our daughters, for us, for our family. After the tumult of the court proceedings, where Linda was handed a sentence that mandated therapy and community service, the quiet in our home felt like a balm. John and I spent long evenings discussing our plans, determined to turn over a new leaf for the sake of our daughters. Let's repaint the nursery, John suggested one evening, a spark of renewal in his eyes. Something bright and cheerful. I smiled, warmed by his initiative. Yellow maybe, bright like the sun. As we painted together, the strokes covering old memories, our girls played at our feet, their laughter a sweet sound amidst the swish of brushes. It was during these simple moments that healing seemed most tangible, the past slowly receding like a bad dream. Yet, recovery wasn't just about fixing up our home. It was also about mending the emotional scars. John and I joined a support group for families who had experienced domestic violence. Every session, we sat in a circle, sharing our stories and listening to others, finding strength in shared experiences. It's not easy, I confessed during one session, the group's attentive faces encouraging me to open up. Some days I feel like we're moving forward. Other times, it's like we're stuck. A woman across from me, her name was Marilyn, nodded understandingly. Healing isn't linear, but look at how far you've come, supporting each other through everything. Her words struck a chord. She was right. Despite everything, John and I had each other's backs, stronger together than we'd ever been. Outside the support group, our friends played a crucial role. Rachel and Mike, a couple we'd known for years, frequently checked in, offering to babysit or just bringing over dinner. Their presence was a constant reminder of the good in our lives. Thank you for being here, I said, grateful for their support. Hey, what are friends for? Rachel replied, her smile reassuring. You do the same for us." Their support was invaluable, but finding peace within myself became just as crucial. I started journaling, pouring my thoughts and fears onto paper. It was a private release, a way to sort through my emotions and come to terms with our new reality. John noticed the change. "You seem more at peace," he observed one night as we settled down after a long day. "I'm getting there," I admitted. Writing helps, talking helps, but knowing we're moving forward together helps the most. As the months passed, the sharp edges of our trauma softened. We celebrated small victories, like our eldest taking her first steps and John's successful completion of a major project at work. Life wasn't just about surviving anymore. It was about thriving, about building the safe, loving environment we had always envisioned for our daughters. "Here's to new beginnings," John toasted one night, glasses clinking in the soft light of our renovated kitchen. "To us," I added, "and to a future filled with love and peace." As we embraced, surrounded by the tangible results of our resilience, I knew we were on the right path. Our journey wasn't over, but each step took us further from the shadows of the past and closer to the light of our own making. One crisp autumn evening, as we watched the girls play in the leaf-strewn yard, John wrapped an arm around my shoulders. "Can you believe how fast they're growing?" he asked. I leaned into him, watching our daughters. "It's amazing. They're so happy, John. We did that. We made this peace for them." Our journey hadn't been easy. The scars from Linda's betrayal lingered, but they no longer defined us. Instead, they served as stark reminders of our resilience and the depths of our commitment to each other and our children. "We've made a lot of tough decisions," I said. "Cutting ties with Linda was one of the hardest, but I know it was the right one." John nodded, his gaze thoughtful. "It was necessary for our safety and sanity. It's just unfortunate it had to come to that with my own mother. But we're here now, and that's what matters." We watched as Sophie helped Ella up after a gentle tumble, both laughing amidst the autumn colors. That night, after we tucked the girls into bed, John and I sat on the porch, a pot of tea steaming between us. We talked about the future, about the possibilities that lay ahead, new projects, potential trips, and watching our girls grow up into the strong, joyful individuals they were becoming. "Our family, our rules, our happiness," John declared, raising his cup in a quiet toast. "To new beginnings and to a life built on love, respect, and above all, peace." As the stars twinkled above, the shadows of our past seemed nothing more than distant memories. The challenges we had faced had not only brought us closer, but had also redefined what it meant to be a family. We were no longer just survivors of hardship, but architects of our own joy. In the quiet of the night, with the soft whisper of the breeze and the promise of tomorrow in our hearts, I felt a profound sense of gratitude. We had navigated the darkest of times together, and now we stood on the threshold of a bright, hopeful future, a future we had secured through courage, love, and an unwavering belief in each other. What do you think about the decision John and I made to cut ties with Linda? Was it the only way to protect our family, or could there have been another solution? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more. Hey there, I'm Sarah, a 32-year-old single mom doing my best to balance work, life, and raising my amazing little boy. It's a sunny Saturday, and I'm out in the backyard with my son, Ethan. He's 6 years old, bursting with energy and giggles, proudly showing off his new birthday present, a super cool toy robot that lights up and makes all sorts of awesome noises. As I sip my coffee, I can't help but think how sweet life is right now. My phone buzzes, interrupting my thoughts. "Yo sis, we still on for the BBQ tomorrow?" It's my brother Mike, my rock since Ethan's dad bailed when I was pregnant. I shoot back a quick hell yeah, and start mentally preparing for some quality family time. The next day rolls around, and Mike arrives with his wife, Karen, and their daughter, Lily. Now, don't get me wrong, I adore my niece, but Karen, well, she's a whole different story. "Sarah, darling, you look so rested," Karen chirps, giving me an air kiss on both cheeks. I resist the urge to roll my eyes. And where's my favorite nephew? Right on cue, Ethan comes charging out of the house, robot in hand. "Uncle Mike, look what I got for my birthday." Mike scoots him up, genuinely excited. "Whoa, buddy, that's one cool robot." I notice Lily eyeing the toy, and that's when Karen's smile turns just a little too sharp. "Oh, Ethan, sweetie, why don't you let Lily play with your new toy? Sharing is caring, right?" I step in, keeping my tone light. It's brand new, maybe later, yeah? Karen's eyes narrow for a split second before she laughs it off. Of course, of course. Lily, honey, why don't you see if Auntie Sarah needs help in the kitchen? As they walk off, I catch Mike's eye. He shrugs, mouthing sorry behind Karen's back. The afternoon goes on, and I start to relax. The burgers are sizzling, the adults are enjoying their beers, and the kids are happily playing in the yard. Then, I hear it. Lily's high-pitched wail. But I want the robot. Ethan won't share. I look over to see Ethan clutching his toy, Lily reaching for it. Before I can step in, Karen's already there, cooing to Lily. Now, Ethan, be a good boy and let Lily have a turn. You don't want to be selfish, do you? I feel my hackles rise. Karen, it's Ethan's new toy. He doesn't have to share if he doesn't want to. Karen turns to me, all sugary sweetness. Oh, but Sarah, we need to teach them to share, right? Mike, caught in the middle, mumbles something non-committal and suddenly becomes very interested in flipping burgers. I kneel down next to Ethan. Buddy, it's your toy. You don't have to share if you're not ready. But maybe later, if you feel like it, you could show Lily how it works. Ethan nods, holding the robot even closer. Karen's smile stays frozen in place, but I can see the anger simmering in her eyes. As the day winds down and they're getting ready to leave, Karen corners me by the door. You know, Sarah, you really should teach Ethan better manners. It's not good for him to be so possessive. I bite back a retort, forcing a smile. Thanks for the advice, Karen. Drive safe. The next few weeks were like walking on eggshells. Every time Mike and Karen came over, it was the same old routine. Karen would zero in on Ethan's robot like a heat-seeking missile. Oh, Ethan, sweetie, Lily's been asking about your robot. Why don't you let her play with it? I grit my teeth, watching Ethan shrink back. Karen, we've been over this. It's Ethan's special toy. She'd laugh, that high-pitched, fake sound. Don't be silly, Sarah. Kids need to learn to share. One day, I caught her trying to sneak the robot into Lily's bag. When I called her out, she played dumb. Oh, did I put that in there? Silly me, I thought it was one of Lily's toys. Yeah, right, and I'm the Queen of England. Things came to a head at Mike's birthday dinner. We were all gathered around the table, Mike carving the roast, when Karen started up again. Ethan, be a dear and let Lily play with your robot. Just for tonight. Ethan shook his head, clutching the toy. No, it's mine. Karen's eyes flashed. Now that's not very nice. Mike, don't you think Ethan should share? Mike looked like he wanted to disappear into his mashed potatoes. That was it for me. Karen, drop it. It's Ethan's toy. End of story. She turned on me, all pretense of niceness gone. Well, I never. You're raising a selfish little brat, Sarah. The table went dead silent. Ethan's lower lip trembled. I stood up, my chair scraping loudly. We're leaving. As we headed for the door, Karen called out, sickly sweet again. Oh, Ethan, I baked you some cookies. Here, take them home. I should have said no. I should have trusted my gut. But Ethan looked so sad. I thought a cookie might cheer him up. Big mistake, huge. We got home, and Ethan scarfed down a cookie before bed. I was in the kitchen when I heard a thump from his room. Ethan? No answer. I ran in and found him on the floor, pale and sweating. Baby, what's wrong? He couldn't answer, just moaned and clutched his stomach. I've never driven so fast in my life. At the hospital, everything was a blur. Doctors, nurses, and terrifying words like poisoning and toxicology. Hours later, a doctor pulled me aside. Miss Sarah, your son ingested a significant amount of rat poison. Do you have any at home? My blood ran cold. No, but he ate a cookie right before. And then it hit me, Karen. The cookies that had poisoned my baby. Oh my God, I whispered, my legs giving out. The doctor caught me. Miss Sarah, we need to inform the police. This was no accident. I nodded, rage building inside me. But as the cops questioned me, I realized I had no proof. It was my word against Karen's. As I sat by Ethan's hospital bed, watching machines keep my baby alive, I made a vow. I was going to prove what that psycho had done, and I was going to make her pay, no matter what it took. Once Ethan was out of the woods, I went into full-on mama bear mode. No way was I letting Karen get away with this. I needed dirt, and I needed it fast. I called up my ride or die, Alex. She's a badass journalist with a knack for digging up secrets. Alex, I need your help. It's about Karen. Say no more, girl. I'm on it. Alex worked her magic, and holy hell, did she deliver. Turns out our sweet sister-in-law had quite the rap sheet: petty theft, fraud, even a restraining order from an ex-boyfriend. But nothing stuck. She always wiggled out of it somehow. Sarah, this chick's a straight-up narcissist with a god complex, Alex said, showing me the files. But we need solid proof for what she did to Ethan. That's when Alex had this genius idea. Let's set up cameras in your place, catch her red-handed at the next family thing. It felt sketchy, but hey, desperate times and all that. Next family dinner rolls around and I'm a bundle of nerves. Ethan's still wary of Karen, sticking close to me. Oh, Ethan, don't you want to play with Lily? Karen coos, sickeningly sweet. No, Ethan mumbles, hiding behind my leg. I see a flash of anger in Karen's eyes, but it's gone in a blink. Throughout dinner, I watch Karen like a hawk. She keeps trying to get close to Ethan's food or drinks, but I'm not having it. After dessert, I excuse myself to the kitchen. Through the hidden camera feed on my phone, I see Karen follow me. Sarah, dear, let me help with the coffee. I turn my back for 1 second, and there it is, Karen slipping something into Ethan's juice. My heart's pounding, but I keep cool. Thanks, Karen, I've got it. Back in the living room, Karen hands Ethan his juice. Here you go, sweetie, drink up. I snatch it away. Actually, Ethan's not thirsty, are you, baby? Karen's face twists for a second before smoothing out. Oh, but I insist, it's his favorite, isn't it? That's when I lose it. Cut the crap, Karen. I saw what you did. She laughs nervously. What are you talking about? I pull out my phone, playing the footage. This poisoning my son again. The room goes dead silent. Mike looks like he's going to be sick. Karen's face shifts from confused to angry in seconds. You set me up. Like you set up my son. I spit back. Admit it, you poisoned him before with those cookies. And then, like a dam bursting, it all comes out. So what if I did? That little brat deserved it, always showing off that stupid robot, making my Lily feel bad. I just wanted to teach him a lesson. Mike stands up, his face ashen. Karen, what have you done? Karen whirls on him. Oh, grow a spine, Mike. Your sister's been turning Ethan against us from day one. I can't believe what I'm hearing. You poisoned a child over a toy? Are you insane? I could hardly keep my voice steady. I'm the only sane one here. Karen shrieked, her voice cracking with madness. You're all just jealous of me, of Lily. We deserve that robot. We deserve everything. It was like watching a mask fall away, revealing the monster beneath. Mike grabbed Lily, backing away from Karen. It's over, Karen, I said, my voice shaking. The police are on their way. As if on cue, sirens wailed in the distance. Karen's eyes went wide, darting around like a cornered animal. You'll regret this, she hissed, then bolted for the door. We all stood there, shell-shocked, as Karen disappeared into the night. But I knew this wasn't over, not by a long shot. The next few days were a blur of police statements and family drama. Karen had vanished and Mike was a mess, torn between shock and guilt. As for me, I was riding a mix of relief and rage. We'll find her, Miss Sarah, the detective assured me. With this evidence, she won't get away with it. But days turned into weeks, and still no sign of Karen. The legal wheels were turning, but damn, they were slow. Then, out of nowhere, Mike called, his voice shaky. Sarah, it's Karen. There's been an accident. My heart did a weird flip. Is she? No, but it's bad, really bad. I rushed to the hospital, not sure what I was feeling. There was Karen, the woman who tried to kill my son, lying broken in a hospital bed. Karma's a bitch, huh? The doctor pulled us aside. The crash severed her spinal cord. She's paralyzed from the neck down. Mike broke down, but I felt nothing, just empty. Weeks passed. Ethan was bouncing back, the resilience of kids never ceasing to amaze me. Mike was stepping up, being the dad and uncle we needed. We were healing, slowly but surely. Karen, though, was facing a life of total dependency, no more manipulation, no more schemes, just her and her thoughts, day in and day out. One day, I decided to visit her. Don't ask me why. Closure, maybe. I walked into her room, seeing her hooked up to machines. Her eyes widened when she saw me. Come to gloat, Sarah. Her voice was weak, but the venom was still there. I sat down, looking her straight in the eye. No, Karen, I came to say goodbye. She scoffed. Spare me the pity party. Oh, this isn't pity. This is me telling you that you lost. You tried to hurt my son, to break our family, and look where it got you. It was an accident. I didn't mean to. I cut her off. Save it. You know what the difference between us is, Karen? I'd die for my child. You'd kill for yours. That's not love. That's obsession. Her face crumpled, but I wasn't done. You're going to lie here, day after day, knowing that Ethan is growing up happy and loved, that Mike and Lily are moving on. And you're just a cautionary tale. You can't leave me like this, she cried out. I stood up, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. Watch me. Goodbye, Karen. I hope you find peace. God knows you need it. As I walked out, I heard her calling my name, begging me to come back, but I didn't turn around. That chapter of our lives was closed. Outside, I took a deep breath of fresh air. Ethan was waiting in the car with Mike, probably arguing over which superhero was the best. Alex had texted, asking if I wanted to grab a drink later. Life wasn't perfect, but it was ours, and no one, not even Karen, could poison that. I slid into the driver's seat, smiling at my boy in the rearview mirror. Ready to go home, kiddo? Ethan grinned, clutching his robot. Yeah, Mom, let's go home. As we drove off, leaving the hospital and Karen behind, I felt lighter than I had in months. We'd been through hell, but we'd come out stronger. And that toy robot, it sat proudly on our mantle, a reminder that sometimes the things worth fighting for aren't things at all. They're the people we love, the family we choose, and the strength we find when we need it most. The story of Sarah, Ethan, and Karen's twisted actions has come to an end. Now I've got a question for you. If you were in Sarah's shoes, visiting Karen in the hospital after everything that happened, what would you say to her? Would you forgive, seek revenge, or simply walk away? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. This situation's pretty intense, and I'm curious to hear how you'd handle it. If this story got you thinking, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more gripping tales of family drama and justice. Your support keeps these stories coming, and trust me, there's plenty more where this came from.